Hello, everyday leaders. It is March the 1st, Wednesday. I have not been on here live in, I don't know, a while. And I'm really
Hello,
excited
everyday
because
leaders. It
this,
is March the 1st, Wednesday. I have not been on here live in, I don't know, a while. And I'm really excited
Hello,
because
leaders.
whoops,
it
hold
is
on. We're getting a little
March
feedback.
the 1st, Wednesday.
Just
I
want to
have
make
not
sure
been on here live
we're
in,
getting a little bit of
wow.
feedback.
And I'm really excited.
Can you hear that, Betty?
I'm going to let
Hold
you.
on, we're getting a little feedback.
I'm going to let you fix that. I'll be right back.
Okay. I just muted your mic. So maybe we turn that down just a little bit on your computer on the StreamYard platform. I just wanted to welcome everyone that is here for this amazing connection to Betty Tonsing. She has released, authored, and published this children's book. And so that's why we're here today. We're going to really dive in to talk about that. But I wanted to welcome you to the Everyday Leaders platform. If you haven't followed Everyday Leaders before, I am the founder of Everyday Leaders, on my heart to develop better people, better leaders every single day.
Everyday leaders before. I am.
And so I'm going to keep you on mute here for a second, Betty, until we can, until I get through with this video here for just a second. So we are really excited. Stay tuned. I am going to now play our intro video and welcome. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Here we go. Excited to have Betty Tonsing here with us today for launching really the book that she has had on her heart to write.
Here we go. Excited to have Betty.
If you have seen all of the posts that we have been sharing, this has been really an amazing journey for Betty. So before we go any further, I want you to see this. I want you to learn about it. And you're going to hear from the author today. What did I see? And today it's going to be, what did I hear? What did I learn? And then we're going to show you how you can get a copy of this for your grandchildren, for your children, for your school, and really support Betty's heart. So, Betty, I'm going to turn my mic off and I want to let you introduce yourself to the world because you have such an amazing story. The things that you've done, how you were inspired to write this book, a part of your life. And our connection is that we met in Lafayette, Indiana at the Association for Women Business Owners group. And so you're a part of that organization as well. But thank you for joining. And please share with the audience here today that's following this, that's watching. I'm going to check the comments. And I would love for you to tell us the inspiration behind What Did I See?
Is watching.
I'm going to unmute. I just unmuted myself.
And I would love for you to
first
tell
of all,
us
Melanie,
the
for having me on
inspiration
today. I
behind
really
What
love this
Did I See?
opportunity. I actually wrote
Goodness,
What Did I
watching.
See
I'm gonna unmute. I just unmuted
30
myself.
years ago.
And I would love for you to
First
tell
of
us
all,
the
Melanie, I had,
inspiration
when I left
behind
Indiana right
What
after
Did I
college, I
See?
spent several years in
I
Washington,
actually
D.C.
wrote
But I had an opportunity to work with a
and I would
congressman and a
love for you to
senator.
tell us
I had an
the
opportunity to go to
inspiration
Africa with the
behind
United
What Did I
Nations,
See?
which I did.
I
And I met my husband, who was there as a Fulbright scholar. And as we were waiting for his contract to finish up, I was working with several other international agencies, and for several years, and while in the suit, was very actively engaged in our work, which included adopting 2 children out of Taiwan. In time, my husband was invited to come to a university in South Africa to help them set up a program to get them ready for a new South Africa, which will be free of apartheid. And my own children were 1 and 3 years old, and I had stopped working on my contracts because I was in a new environment and hadn't yet started working on my PhD. I was reading a lot of children's books, a lot every.
Hang on, Betty. I'm going to have, can you turn your mic or your volume down on your computer? I think it's the speakers on your computer. They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Hold on.
I just turned my volume down.
On your computer, they're getting just a little bit of feedback. Hold
Turn
on.
that. Yep. Go one more. Turn it down just a little bit.
My volume down.
On your computer, they're getting just a little bit of feedback.
Can you hear it?
Hold
Turn
on.
it.
Yep. Go one more. Turn it down just a little bit.
My volume down.
On
Are you talking to me?
They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
I'm turning my. I'm getting feedback
Go one
also.
more.
Okay.
Turn it down just a little bit.
Let me see.
Are you talking to me? They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
I'm turning my. I'm getting feedback
Go one
also.
more. Okay. Turn it down just a little bit.
Let me see.
Are you talking to me? They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
I'm turning my. I'm getting feedback
Go one
also.
more. Okay. Turn it down just a little bit. Let me see. Are you talking to me? They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
I'm turning my. I'm getting feedback
Go one
also.
more. Okay. Turn it down just a little bit. Let me see. Are you talking to me? They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
I'm turning my. I'm getting feedback
Go one
also.
more. Okay. Turn it down just a little bit. Let me see. Are you talking to me? They're getting just a little bit of feedback. Can you hear it?
So now, do you have headsets, by the way? Just like plug-in headsets? No? Oh,
Phone, and I don't have the jack. They're for my phone. I phone, and I don't have the jack. Well, it's for an iPhone.
see if you can turn your volume all the way. The speaker part that's coming back is where you're getting the feedback from. She's on her computer.
Melanie, can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Are you still getting feedback? Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
You're not getting feedback. That is interesting because there was tremendous feedback. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Let's go.
I can't hear you. You'll have to put your questions in chat.
Okay.
Okay, because I can't hear you. If I put the volume back up. We're going to get feedback if we put the volume back on.
All right. So just why don't you just go ahead and share your story, and then you can turn the volume back down.
Feedback if we put the volume. Okay. I would do that. Can you still hear me? Okay. Let's just cut out DC. Let's just cut out. People always ask, oh, what did your husband do in Africa? I was working with the United Nations, and I was involved with a lot of other international aid organizations. But we also adopted our children from Taiwan. And in the process, we then moved after 7 years to South Africa. My children were 1 and 3, and there were no agencies for me to work with, but I was pretty busy with the little ones. And I was every night reading books, and I loved reading books to the children. It was the best part of my day. I absolutely loved it. And I thought, geez, I think I can do this. I was surrounded by books. I thought, I think I could do this. I am not an illustrator. I'm not a children's writer. I am a historian. I have written a lot of publications and several books, but nothing in the children's genre, as they say. And this was the first book that I wrote. What did I see? I actually wrote two, which is not yet published. And it was great fun. I absolutely loved it. I looked at a lot of children's books to see, well, how do children look when they're doing a movement? How does an animal look when it's doing a movement? And I wanted to make the figures that were actually, you could tell it was a child or an elephant or a lion or whatever, a circus. Or I went to the castle, and what did I see? I saw 5 queens who had tea with me. I mean, what would 5 queens look like sitting around a table? And it was great fun. And I didn't do anything with it for years. I thought about getting it published. I'd had a previous book for young adults published, but I just put it on the shelf and forgot about it. And last year I decided, no, I'm going to get this published. My own children now are well in their 30s, but I have little grandchildren who are getting past a bit the age to read to them, but one's an early reader. And I started reading this book to them 2-3 years ago. So I finally got it published. And I people love it. The thing that's different, I mean, it's a basic book for ages 2 to 5 for children who are learning how to read, their colors, object identification, animals, that sort of thing. But it's also children from all over the world. And a friend of mine was reading it to her children, and she said, Betty, the coolest thing was, he said, oh my gosh, this person looks different. Where is this person from? This person looks different. Where is this person from? So they got to talk about this diversity, which is what I wanted to include. My children and we've lived in diversity all of our lives, having lived overseas for 15 years. And that children pick up on that, I thought was so exciting. And I just want to say, people will go, oh my gosh, this book is so cool, but I don't have any little children. Perfect. I loved your idea of who can you give this book to? And not a library, because they don't take books, but there's got to be a child's play school near you. And I was at another meeting today, and somebody said, well, how about children's shelter? How about shelters? People are in shelters because we think of things like clothing and items that they might need. A woman living in, dressed for success, giving her something to wear to that interview. Well, what if she's got little children? She may not have things with her. And shelters are really busy gathering other things. Find a shelter near you and find out, do you have little children? Even if they're there for just a few nights, could you use a book, another book? And it's a beautiful, happy book of children from all over. A child's going to see themselves, regardless of their ethnicity, their race, they're going to see themselves in this book.
So I put you on mute because I just want to make sure that there's no feedback. I love this because right now when we're talking about COVID and, diversity, inclusion, people feeling like they can't do anything because they have this mental health issue. They have a feeling of they don't belong. They have a feeling of I'm not good enough, right? And that's what really spurs on, especially kids as they're growing up. So this book, I love it. When you actually gave us to me a copy when we were at the Abo Christmas celebration. And so we've been trying to do this for quite a while. But I really love it because, for the schools, I think about the schools that I read for. I have a friend, Beth Green, that has an elementary class, and she's been a teacher for 27 years and getting ready, to get to that point of retirement. Yet she loves teaching her students. That's why she's been doing it for so long. When you think about the books that they can bring into the schools as teachers, the inspiration that they can pass on, this legacy to the kids in their classroom, the 20 or 25 students, right? And what they feel, the confidence they have about themselves and their lives comes from the books that they read. So this is one of those books that I would say, if you're a teacher, get this book and put it in your classroom and have someone come read it. And it will really elevate the kids' beliefs in themselves. It's just, I really applaud you because as an illustrator, right, of looking at what this is from the identity, like you said, you probably can see this a little bit better, but it's a definition, right, of when you're doing something, what did the children see? What do they imagine that can look like? And so that's what I love, the story of imagination taking them through this journey. That's what I really applaud you for, Betty. You had the vision to create it, to connect the imagination taking. So I'm gonna have you turn your mic down just a second so it'll not give the feedback. And then I'm gonna unmute you because I would like for you just to share with us, the process of someone that has a a project like this on their heart, getting it to the point where you've published it. That's a process. And like you said, you've had it for a long time. What does it feel like now that it's published and that you can share it?
And like you said, and that you can share.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good. And there's no feedback. I think, Melanie, for anybody who feels everyone has a story inside of them. It could be a story for children. It could be a story. Many people feel they have an anecdotal story that's inspiring about the life they feel they need to share. I can tell you that the number one book in January um, that's all over the markets is How to Succeed at Your Goals. That is, as you can imagine, in January, that is, and somebody feels that they're successful in doing that. The meeting I just was on before this one, a woman was talking about the process that she uses. And I thought, boy, I hear from a lot of business coaches that her process was really good. I would tell you that finding a publisher is not easy. When I wrote my first book, I was invited. It's Let's Visit Lesotho. It was published by Macmillan of London, and I was invited after a program a very successful program I had put together on a photography exhibit for Lesotho that was uproariously successful. My dissertation, was published by an academic press, but I mean, the academic presses tend to price books so high even your mother can't buy it. So I wasn't selling that for popularity purposes. But I wrote a book. My husband died 10 years ago from a medical error, an illness stemming from a medical error. A very popular, very powerful, and a very poignant book that was written for other people who have gone through a really horrendous experience in a hospital or in a medical setting. And they aren't blaming the hospital, but they have a story to tell. And so it was my story, but it was also the story of hundreds of other people that I interviewed and who I surveyed. And I really could not find, I was having a well-known women's author working with her own agent, trying to find a publisher. The publishing industry right now is brutal to break into. It's absolutely brutal. And so a lot of people self-publish. I worked with a publishing house called Kids at Heart Publishing. Kids at Heart Publishing. That focuses just on children's books and a few other books, but children's books. And I found that to be very successful and worked with me. But a lot of people will be tempted. What about the self-publishing? And a lot of people do use Amazon. Now, I want to tell you that people will look at a publishing house and think that gives your book a credibility, and in a sense it does. But there's also a lot of publishing houses, some that focus on particular genres. There are what are called vanity presses that are a step between self-publishing and the traditional publishing houses. And then Amazon. I love a bookstore, and I bet you do too, and probably a lot of people out there love a bookstore. We love to go in there. I like to smell that latte in the background. I love to browse. I hope I can get out without buying 5 books. And Amazon gives them a real run for their money. But the area of self-publishing has become very popular. I would say for children's books, you could probably do it Amazon.com, because people are not looking at a children's book going, well, who published this? Where they are going to do that with another book. They're going to be a bit more snobby about it. Well, who published it? Did somebody, so it's a really, you're not going to, if you're doing it to make a lot of money, well, there's no money in that. But finding a publisher could possibly break your heart and break your spirit. But I could recommend Kids at Heart Publishing. I could also recommend Amazon for a children's book, most clearly. For other genres, it's just very, very challenging. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And I think that's what's so important right now. People are looking for ways, like you said, they have a story inside of them and they want to be able to share it in a meaningful way. So that's what I really want to get across to the audience today is maybe you're thinking too hard about it, right? That you have to tell your story and it has to be like everybody else. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. If you get inspired to maybe speak to a children's audience, maybe tell your story in a way that has a bigger meaning, right? If you can impact a bigger population of learners that are really in that stage. We say people at 25, most of the population doesn't pick up a book after 25, which is crazy to think about that statistically. If you're not in a learning environment anymore, it's no longer something that you focus on. So maybe your story needs to go to a younger audience. Maybe it needs to be presented in a different, more creative way so that it gets accepted, worldwide acceptance, like something like this, right? General topics that can cover multiple generations, I think is the key here. And, I do know your story about your husband, and I am so sorry again about what happened during that part of your life. And being in the medical profession for so many years of my life, 25 plus, I get it. It's called medical errors because there are errors, and we have to be aware, and we have to have that advocacy. And so, thinking about the things that you've learned in your life, Betty, it's just important for us to know that authors have more inside of them, and it's just one way, right? It's one way for you to communicate to the world.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I have another excitement. We're sort of an overlap here, but I want to share also some tips that people shared with me. Um, with the children's book, I was just spent a wonderful weekend, a long weekend with some friends who had a publishing industry themselves, only for technical books. Only for technical books. They had this for some 30 years before they retired. But many of the things that are shared sort of across the publishing spectrum. And she said, specific to children's books, she said, see if somehow somebody can't give you an award for that children's book. Because if there's something added to it, that little seal or what have you, that you could apply to your book, that selected as the #1 children's book of the year, or, and there are some very top children's award places that would be pretty challenging to get an award. But there's a lot of it. It could be something from your home state. It could be something from a local library association. It's just any kind of a recognition that someone's going to go, oh, geez, maybe I should get this book. It's won an award. I thought I would never have thought of that myself. It pays to talk to other authors. It pays to talk. Well, it just came up in a conversation with my good friends Mike and Lydia. I thought that was really cool. For my book, for this one, Stand in the Way, I said, this book is still timely. Medical errors are still the third leading cause of death in the United States. And I'm getting ready. I'm thinking about writing a sequel, a bookend to this book. And it's for that end of the spectrum of when we're aging, how to age out of here outrageously. And it's going to, again, be me interviewing a lot of different people. It's not going to be my story. It's going to be different people's stories. And she said, well, what you need to do is you need to get this one as a second edition. And you just simply go back to the original publisher. In this case, it was Lulu, because I finally got it self-published through Lulu, and see what would it cost to get second edition on there that immediately puts a more recent date than 2014 on here. It'll put 2023 or 2024. Add maybe an additional and a chapter or something to kind of bring up the information. Again, I would never have thought of that. So you don't have to rewrite the book, but get the original. If it's still timely and the information is still relevant just get it in second edition form and then write your book in. And someone's going to think, oh my gosh, second edition. Well, that first one must have sold out, And these aren't things that are in any way wrong. It's just tips of the trade. I don't know, and we don't know, but people who do this in the publishing world do know this. And I just thought, hey, I have to pass that on and share that. Isn't that helpful? Would you have thought of that or know that? No. So this from friends who did publishing, and they were a very successful, and what did them in, they were very, very successful in their publishing industry of all things tech until, guess what? YouTube. What do people now do? They go to YouTube if they want to figure out, how do I fix this and how do I repair that and how do I replace the what have you in my washing machine. They don't get a tech book. They use YouTube in the classroom as a teaching tool. So they had to then go to the next level of taking their things online. So it's a world, but you don't have to swim until your arms tire out. Just ask people around you, and they'll have an answer you couldn't even have thought of.
I love that. The inner circle, we talk about that so much in leadership, right? You usually have somebody right around you in your sphere of influence in whatever day or group or activity that you're in that can actually solve your problems. And so that is a great point. And I work with a publisher. I've been working with her for a while. She is the one, right, to promote the book, to take it out, to get the awards, to do all the things because as a publisher, I think you're right. They have the responsibility when they say yes to your work that, hey, I see where I can place this, that it's different. I see the vision for what the author has in their heart. And when you say everyone has a story inside of them, that's so true. Like we all have a different journey. So, and it's never too late to start. That's what I want you to know from Betty's story is maybe something significant has happened to you. Maybe you don't know how to get it out. Maybe you're still grieving through a process. However, becoming an author helps you validate your own healing and it really helps you start to help more people. My mentor, John Maxwell, always says, if you write a book, you can touch people's hearts that you will never have the opportunity to meet. So I really just want to encourage you to take this journey. Get this book first. Share it with people that you know and love. Get it into classrooms. Get it into these places. Get it into churches. Get it into places that people need help seeing the world differently because it will change their life. So proud of you, Betty. So proud of you.
Help seeing the world differently because it will change their life. So proud of you, Betty. So proud of you.
Well, Melanie, thank you, but I can't tell you what it did to my heart when my friend said to me, I was reading this to my grandchildren, and they wanted me to read it over and over again because they wanted to hear more about those children. Now, these are two little white children, but they thought they're going to school now and play school. And they're thinking, oh, there's my friend Susie. She looks like this. Or now where is this person from? And I thought, children are absolutely beautiful and accepting and curious, and they want to know, well, tell me about your accent and who are you and why do you, eat? And they're loving. They're just curious, and then they're delighted. I remember when we were still in Africa, and my children were Chinese, and we're in Africa, and one in their little play school, I don't know why, but one of the kids wanted to know where Eva was from. She didn't look like her mom and dad, and she wasn't from Africa. So the teacher took the opportunity, brought out a globe, and explained that she's all the way from over here in Taiwan, and all that. And so at the end of the little story, the little girl said, "Oh, I want to be from China too," because children just are so cool. So I loved your idea. I really would. I have this book. I want to share it with people. I have a few copies in my closet so people can contact me and I can get it to them. But, I thought it's okay if you don't have a little one. There's a little one somewhere near you in a shelter, in a play school, in a classroom that would love to have this book to read. The shelter today really touched my heart because I thought that's a traumatic time. That's a sad time. And if someone can read that child that this book, which is just full of fun and joy and imagination. I mean, they're going to the sea and they're going to the circus. I'm going to show you the circus, but I know we're really, really short on time. I went to the circus, and what did I see? And that's my daughter actually in there. I saw 4 clowns who danced with me. Well, I mean, who gets to dance with clowns? What children do in their imagination.
I absolutely love this. This was on my heart as soon as you told me about the project. And so I am just so glad that we had the ability to get together, share this information with everyone. This has been, broadcasted over Facebook, over YouTube, over LinkedIn. So anywhere that you're watching this, please give us a comment and let us know where you're going to give this book. Are you going to give it to your child? Are you going to donate it to a school? Are you going to take it to a shelter? What are you going to do when you get your hands on this book? That's what I want to know. I'd love for you to just build the stream up here and show Betty the love for her journey in writing this book. This is really going to help the kids. Really appreciate it. All right. Betty, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want you to come back and share more of your story, especially when you do your series 2 for your other book. I think that would be another amazing story to get some of the medical professionals on here that have experienced the great things that they have seen in the world and how we can all change it together. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say goodbye and then I will sign off. But thank you so much for joining us.
I am so sorry about that. Whatever happened to begin with. I know Melanie said we have to have headsets, and my day was packed. I'm a history professor, so I was in the classroom all morning, and then I had a meeting. And I asked my son yesterday, "Joe, you must have headsets. You do gaming. You must have headsets." And he was trying to find them, and he couldn't find them. I think, yeah, he's still my son. And when you asked me, do I have a set before? I thought, I think I did somewhere, but I just moved here last year and not everything is unpacked. Some things are still in a box because I downsized a bit coming here. And I thought, oh, no. So I am so sorry about that. I hope that the audience didn't get sounded out with that. But thank you for joining me. Thank you again, Melanie, for this opportunity. Please, folks, just contact me. I would love to hear from you and get this into your hands so that you can get it into a child's heart.
Oh, absolutely. So if you're watching this thread, you can tag Betty on all these spaces that you're watching it. We're going to put all of her links. They're in the actual notes section here. So we want to hear feedback from you. We want to hear feedback from you. And let's help her change the world. Thank you so much, Betty. Have a wonderful day. And I can't wait to see you at another ABO event soon, I'm hoping, right? Yes. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Continue to be everyday leaders in your life. This is how we support each other, our inner circle, and we share ideas on leadership. So go out and change the world today. Have a great day.